final segment for today then. And we're actually now going to finally talk about some gaming stuff. Whew. A lot of stuff that we're going to, by the way, I've said 3, it's going to be 2 different videos now. I think the Savage World thing was short enough to just put on the back of Promise of Power, especially since it's not live yet. But with this one, we want to talk about some gaming stuff. And a question that came up from somebody years ago, that's the way it feels now anyway, was, hey, Kevin's talked about running these huge games back in Detroit and run all these games at conventions with 20, 30, 952 different people. Apparently, I don't know how he keeps track of all this together. How does he do that? And of course, a lot of people had their own, it's just real simple. You do this, you do that, you do the next thing. And most people's response is, yeah, but what'd Kevin say? So now we're going to find out what Kevin says. Hint, you could read some of this in the Riffs Game Master Guide. Just saying. Which I poo-pooed pretty hard last week. A lot of people didn't like it.
It still smells in here.
It still smells. That's because they misunderstood. I was literally doing a comparison between the Heroes Unlimited Game Master Guide and the Riffs Game Master Guide. And I do think that between the two, the Heroes Unlimited one is 1,000 million, 100 billion, gazillion fake word here % better. Doesn't mean that the Riffs one is bad. There's a lot, I actually said in that video, a lot of useful material in there. Heroes Unlimited one is still better.
Especially as a Game Master Guide.
Oh, yeah. He watched my video.
Okay, wow. Holy shit, that happened.
You broke heathen dog.
You fucking broke my brain on that one. Kevin came out and actually just dunked on his own product in defense of his own product. It's a meme of a meta of a thing. It happened. Somebody clip it. Wow. I'm coming.
But I don't see that as a dunk. I just see that as a comparison between the two.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right. I mean, so the Riffs Game Master Guide is almost more of a compendium and collection of information. He watched my
video. I'm telling you, he watched my video.
I didn't watch your video because I don't watch junk. I mean, no, I'm kidding.
Get out of here.
No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But no, I haven't watched your video. I just look. I appreciate and understand my own stuff, and as an actual Game Master Guide, as a helpful tool for game masters, the Heroes Unlimited Game Master Guide is a superior Game Master Guide product. And like I said, the Riffs Game Master Guide is more of a compilation and collection of stuff that will help you run your game, but it's not that much of a Game Master Guide. I mean, facts are just facts, man.
Okay. That was beautiful. Yep.
Now, you could still read that substandard product. I mean, the Riffs Game Master Guide, and get some of this information that Kevin's going to give you. Because to be fair, you do actually talk about that. Maybe not crazy in depth, but there's a few paragraphs in there on how you run large groups. So let's go. First things first. How did you start? Oh, no. How did your large group form? Like, it wasn't just overnight. Like, all of a sudden, I just want to send invitations out to 30 people and see if they show up and let's play. It had to grow naturally somehow over time, organically, right?
Yep, absolutely. No, so I had met Eric Woodjick and Matt Ballant and a bunch of other guys at Wayne State University. And Eric had proposed to me the idea of starting the Detroit Gaming Center, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. And so, I helped found that with like 8 other people. And, I had discovered role-playing around that same time. I mean, I hadn't actually run a lot. In fact, the guys used to tease me that, hey, he's making this up as he goes along, which of course I would deny, but they're absolutely right, and that's what I love about role-playing is, hell yes, I'm making the shit up as I go along. I'm listening to you guys, and I'm taking my cues, and I'm changing things up, and trying to make it as much fun for everyone and go with the flow. So, and then the other thing was, because I was at the gaming center, people kept learning about my game, kept hearing about the game, and they would come up to me and say, "Hey, can I join your game?" and I'm a nice guy, and I felt bad saying no. So I just kept saying yes. And the reason they wanted to join my game, and it's nice that they heard good things about it, but I think part of it is I had a reputation early on for being a killer game master, which seemed to intrigue people rather than, and I'm not a killer game master, but they seemed to think so at the time, and that I was running an X-rated dungeon.
Wait, what?
Which wasn't true either, but
so how many disappointed people left after one session of that?
No, hang on. Let's circle back a sec. No. You can't say something like that and just brush it aside as like, oh, that wasn't true. Anyway, no, people thought that for a reason, Kevin. There is very few times in the world where people form an idea out of fucking nowhere. So why did people believe you ran an X-rated dungeon type deal here, man? Why?
Because I had a couple of brothels in the Palladium of Desire. And when people would come, so the fun thing with this is that I never went anywhere near X. In fact, it was probably even just a soft R. But it's funny how people's brains just kind of is that classic. I kind of set them up and I say, yeah. And, and I describe the women. Oh, they're beautiful. It's this or that, and even if it's like, an orc character having sex with an orc, human beings would think they're hideous, but it's like, oh yeah, she's beautiful and she's got big ones. And, and it'd be like, I would do the, hey baby, why don't we go have some fun? It's only 50 gold.
Because you have tusks, that's why.
And I would describe the woman and I mainly in stats to be like, oh yeah, she's got a beauty, not the orc, but the elven hot babe would be like, yeah, she's like got a physical beauty of 26. And like one of the characters when they ran across the domination dungeon, they're like, what's she wearing? And I'm like, she's got hip high leather boots and long black hair.
We don't need to do this. Okay, now I get it. I get it.
And it'd be like, well, what else is she wearing? And I'm like, nothing. and it's like, but that's as far as it went, right? It's just, and they would, so afterwards, like,
go, Kevin, everyone else's mind filled in all the words that you wanted to say, but didn't. So
there you go.
Orc thing,
that's called good game mastering
later on. But everything else, their minds filled in. And so when they were going to tell other people that they were telling their minds filled in version rather than what you said. So I get it now. I get it now. So it wasn't X-rated. It was like Skinamax. It was the Red Shoe Diaries version. What was going on here? So okay. So tip 1: make your game popular to the lowest common denominator.
No.
That is an indirect quote from Kevin Siembieda. Okay.
That's a transliteration.
Actually, I had a lot of really high-end smart people in my game. It was kind of funny. A lot of like doctors and engineers and that kind of thing. But anyway, so the other reason I think it was popular is I'd let them play any character they want, and they could bring in. Like these guys would say, look, so my character is already 3rd level or 4th level. Because in D&D, you kind of had to be. If you're 1st or 2nd level and an orc sneezes on you, you probably took critical damage.
Sure.
I think we killed that house cat, yeah.
Yeah. So I would let them do that, and they would come in and go, oh, I got this amazing, magic item and that amazing magic item. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, you let me bring that in? And I'm like, sure.
Sure.
And so the group just kept growing and growing very quickly. I was up to 18, 20 people. And after about 6 months, I had to close it off at 26 because it's hard to play more than that. And bear in mind, we're all in our 20s, so, and stupid and, gaming nerds. So it's not like we had dates on Saturday night. So the game would start at like 7 o'clock. in the evening and end like 8 or 9 o'clock Sunday morning. We'd play all night because you need to have time to, if you're running that many people, to have a good game. Although I've run big groups that are much shorter, and part of it is you serialize it, just like comic books or soap operas or a TV series. You end it where you end it. You try to find a dramatic point, a cliffhanger or something dramatic or a triumph.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. See you next week. So whether it's a 12-hour, 15-hour game session or a 3-hour game session, it works just fine.
Okay.
So as the group's growing, though, over time, you start with however many people and you're getting up to like now 12, 13, whatever. How are you herding the cats to keep their interest at the table without them, as Heathen Dog knows this because this happened at our table, some guy just sitting on his Game Boy waiting for whenever it's his turn, we'll just call it, or the other side of the folks, the people are always interjecting when it's not their turn. It's like, hold on, we'll get back to you. Right now I'm focused on these guys who are trying to hack the Matrix at the moment.
Well, I mean, that's sort of it. That's where the game master becomes sort of the referee. It's like, hey, you're not there, you don't know. Like people would like chime in, you should have your character do this or that, and it's like, dude, you're not there, shut up. And then the rest of it, I'd be a genius, man. So no, it.
Well, I mean, because if people are try to turn role playing game mastering into a science more than an art, and you'll hear things like, "Oh, it's about the plot and the pacing," which I'm not against, but I think people try to find a science behind that I don't think is there. But there's the faction that says, "Oh, you made people wait." Well, nobody should have to wait in the game. They should be involved in the game at all times. Yada yada. And it's me. I'm like, no, I don't even care if you're 6 people. You're not always going to be involved in the game. So how do you express to folks like that look at something and say, well, unless you're doing troop style where it's a different group every week or every session, you really can't do 18 people because you're going to have too many people sitting there doing nothing, and that's just a bad game then.
So there are tricks to that. So inevitably, just like when you go to a party, people tend to break off into cliques. These guys are doing this, these guys are doing that. You're talking to so-and-so. And it's kind of the same thing in the game. Certain characters are going to naturally gravitate to certain individuals or situations. So it's like, well, someone else is investigating X. Someone in the group may say, hey, you know what? We never checked this out. What if this is a trap? What if there's something going on there? And especially when you have 26 players, inevitably 5 or 6 other players go, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we should go check it out. And I'm like, yeah, go check it out.
Yeah, split party.
And so it's actually easier. But you're right. People are going to be waiting. But the cool thing is, again, and timing does come into play, where you kind of set it up where, okay, this group is doing this. And if you guys are playing my game, okay, Max and Heathen Dog, what are you guys doing? And
Probably
you
fighting.
and maybe 5 other people are doing whatever. And so I give you a little time, and I set it up, much like a soap opera, where you do these cuts where, okay, we open up the door. What do we see? And I tell you what you see, and you're like, hold that thought. And go to the next group. And the cool thing is, if they're all doing something interesting, they're actually interested in what each other is doing. Plus, especially if when I opened up in what do I see, and it's something bad or dangerous or scary, and I say, so hold that thought. Let me know what you're doing when I get back to you, and I go and play through a little bit of what this group is doing. When I come back, they figured out what spell they're doing. I'm pulling my longbow and my arrows. I'm going to have my lightning bolt arrow handy just in case I need it. And the paladin's like, well, I'm going to, go in first, or I'm the guy who's going to, watch the back of the group. And you just kind of keep doing these quick cuts a la soap operas.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may not watch soap operas. Go ahead.
The old Super Friends cartoon. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Meanwhile, and I would even do that sometimes. I'd be like, okay, cool. Meanwhile, back at, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so my mom was sick with cancer, and I would visit her every day, and we would watch her favorite couple of soap operas. And I saw a really nice
Stories.
way they do that. And I'm like, oh, that's great, because it's always like, Victor is back in town. All right, now we quick cut to our group. The two people have wandered off. Well, what have we found? Funny you should ask, because you hear a strange noise behind this door. And they're like,
It's Luke and Laura.
It's exactly
evil twin, your
Well,
real father.
For me, it was more like it was my favorite soap was The Young and the Restless.
Oh, okay.
So it'd probably be more like Victor, I forget his name and his last name. But there was a cool villain.
Victor Newman.
Yes, Victor Newman.
Okay. Yep.
He was trying not to. He tried so hard not to answer, and he's finally like, I got to do it.
That's
I love that actor. I love that actor. And ever since I saw him in Colossus, in fact, that was the cool thing for me. Of course, being a nerd, right? It's not like, oh, he's a very good actor or he's an interesting guy. It's like, he was in the Colossus movie. I got to watch this because he was great in that. He was a mad scientist. Dating myself, probably no one even knows that movie.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so you use those kind of little tricks, and it keeps everyone engaged. If you're telling an interesting story and interesting things are happening in 2 or 3 or 4 different locations. Now, it's not for every game master. It's kind of tricky. And you mentioned 32. That's impossible. 32 was crazy, and it was a one special event. And I was like, I'm never playing with more than 26 people again. So, and
got to set that bar at a very
right.
specific
That's
level.
right.
I kept mine off at 8. I think I did 12 or 14. I already forgot. It was a TMNT game one time. And I said, I'm never doing this again. I had 10 is somewhat consistent. And I said, I'm never doing that again. I found that my cap is 8.
I love 8. That for me, that's like, that's my preferred minimum is 8.
Minimum.
Preferred minimum.
I love.
All right.
Well, my games are really popular, so I always had like 8 to 12 people, and I just got like it's like anything. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. When I run games at the open houses or at conventions, I often run 14, 16 people, and a lot of people couldn't imagine running like 20 plus. And so it was actually a small convention, but it was really cool. Because it was funny, I'm having these panel talks, and there's like 8 people, 12 people, and then my actual game, and it was cool because it was an auditorium seating, and because it's at a university, and the pitch for the game was playing a game with 20 plus people.
Yeah, I mean, we have auditorium seating for a reason,
and it was great. There were like 21 or 23 people. And the game went fantastic. It was only like a 3 or 4 hour game, and it was awesome. And people were like, holy crap. In fact, one of the greatest compliments I ever got was afterwards, like the next morning, because it was an evening game. A young man came up to me and said, I was so disillusioned with gaming, with role playing, and I had decided I was never going to play again. And I heard you were going to be here, and I played in your game last night, and you've inspired me. I'm going to start up a new campaign, because he was a game master, and he's like, I never saw anyone play like you did, because I really focus on character and story. That's the other thing. If you all hold on, let me check these rules exactly. Well, I'm sorry, your character is 2 feet further than he should be, so that spell doesn't work. No, that's horseshit. And so I focus on the characters and the stories, and I keep it fast paced, and he loved it. And it was funny because I always wondered if he ran his game and kept on role playing, because he was like, yeah, I was so disillusioned, I was never going to play again. And when he came here to see you, and your game was fantastic, and like just like 5 years ago, he reached out he ordered a grab bag. And in the comment section, he's like, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the guy who, and he recounts the situation. He's like, I've been gaming ever since.
Nice.
Awesome.
Damn.
Well, one of the things that I like about this, I know there are people, and we'll just say our circle, if you want to call it that, people that we associate with, who would hear your gaming style and be like, no, that's not how this is supposed to be done. And then there are people who, on the other side, like, no, this is the perfect way. One of the things that you've said, and I'm going to take your phrase now because I think it's answered a lot of questions for me, is that role playing is personal. So this whole concept that of how Kevin's running it, and I know some people, if they follow us, they heard him say, well, 2 feet, that's stupid, whatever. They'll be like, no, that's a rule in the game for a reason, and players need to understand that they have to conform to the rules of the game, yada yada. I'm not against that style. I'm also not against Kevin's style.
I'm not either.
I'm somewhere in the middle, but it might mean it's not the table for you.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. So for me, with Theater of the Mind, and for me, it's horseshit. For you, it might be absolutely critical and important in the way you want to run your game, and that's cool.
Which is why everybody asks 3,000 rules questions to you every Rifter.
Exactly.
All right. So hang on to recap for everyone. If you have a game with a large amount of people, you're going to realize that when you get a large amount of people, cliques will form. People will gravitate toward a group of 3, 4, 5 other people, and they will form a natural group within the group. So what you can do is jump to one group, especially if they've split off, or create a situation where they would split off. Jump to them, do them for a little bit, wait, or what I would do, artificially create tension and excitement, and then cut. Move over to the other people. These people are like, oh my God, that was so exciting. Oh, what do you do? Cut now. It's like, I got to get these people. Oh, they will stay invested because they're impatiently waiting their turn. And then you have the other people. You do the same thing to them.
Yep.
It keeps everyone invested,
Involved.
even when they're not actively playing, because they're afraid subconsciously, if I go away and then my group gets called back, I will not see the end of this thing. This thing that cut right when I was about to deal a death blow. I must be here for that. So
there's a question in there. Oh, go ahead.
Or they may feel like, gosh, I got to, I can't leave, and I got to make sure this works out because, holy crap, the rest of the group doesn't even know this is happening, and me and my 3 buddies are the only ones who know the real mastermind behind all of this is, Villain X, and it's great, exactly, yeah.
Understanding that this is not going to be a hard and fast number, and I'm not looking for a hard and fast number, but just conceptually, how long do you spend with each of we'll call them little cliques, before you move on to the next, back to another one?
Or no, I think a better question is, how long do you feel you can stay with one group without thinking, you know what, maybe it's time to switch somewhere else and start making that happen?
Well, it kind of depends on what's happening with both parties, and then I try to read the room and get a sense of these guys are kind of getting bored or they're chomping at the bit. I try to make sure I give people their moment to shine. That's also one of my things that I like to do as a game master is I want to give every player their moment to shine. So it varies, but I probably switch back and forth, after 10, 15 minutes, but sometimes it might be, more like in half an hour, depending on what's going on, in the adventure. Okay.
So 10, 15 minutes per group, depending on the size of the group. Maybe it'll be 20 or 25 if it's like only a measly 18 people or whatever. But but that's about the time you start thinking about the transition.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, see, it's weird because I know Heathen Dog and I have been in games and we've had to sit out for a half hour. Hell, the first one of Bears games, Codex Albana, I don't think I was involved for the first hour and a half or whatever. As long as what's going on is interesting, that doesn't bother me. But the flip side is, I know a lot of people, like, if I'm sitting there for an hour and a half doing nothing, I'm leaving that table. Screw that game. It's the worst thing ever. I'm like, whoa, calm down. But there are people out there who absolutely think that way. Would you say, at least off the cuff, that maybe a large group then isn't for that player?
It isn't for that player, or isn't for that game master.
Yeah.
Because I've been that person. Max, the first 2 games, I always tell people how the first 2 games I played, I hated, and I was done with role playing because it was stupid. And then I played in Julius's game where there was like 6 of us and had a great time. And the problem was exactly that. We joined this other group. They're all higher level characters, and the game master, I don't think he could handle a large group. I used to think he was a jerk, but as I matured and thought about it, I realized, no, I bet he couldn't. He already had a group of 5 or 6 players, and you're adding 4 or 5 more. He couldn't handle that many people. And so, I sat there for a freaking hour and a half watching them go to the shop. It wasn't even anything exciting either. It was like, oh, let's go to the shop. And one person is, oh, I want to get my pet griffin groomed, or whatever the hell it was. And I'm like, are you serious? Who gives a shit about her pet griffin? I want to get into action. I want to do stuff. And the next guy's like, yeah, I'm going to the armorer, and I want to get my sword sharpened, and I want to get an extra new shield and a this or that. And, this happened, and it's like an hour and a half. We haven't even started a freaking adventure. I want to blow my brains out because I don't give a shit. I don't know anything about these other players, these other characters. I want some action. And then when the action happened, because we're playing D&D and we were all first level characters, the new people, the other folks are all 3rd and 4th level. So then it's like, all right, here's my chance. Sure, I'm just a lowly thief, but I'm going to gut this mother. And they were like, no, little lowly thief, don't worry, we'll protect you. And I'm like, but I don't want to be protected. I want to
do something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, wait, let me check. Yeah, I'm wearing my big boy pants.
Even if I'm low level and got the low level shorts in reality.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been that guy. I get it. And so it kind of depends on the game master. It kind of depends on the other players. And it gets tricky, it's, I have a strong personality, so I don't think people really, and I didn't really let people mess with me if they started to get out of line. And there's always certain players that I played with this one person for probably 20 years, and she just never changed, and neither did her husband. And she was one of those people where, okay, their group kind of wanders off this way, and it just happens that the group that wandered off the other way, they're hitting action. And it's like, the next thing I know, it's like, okay, well, I'm there. I ran over, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait. You're way over there. Maybe you didn't even hear shit. You didn't hear nothing. You have no idea that they're locked in battle. Stay in your zone. And it's like, and she never changed. I mean, you have to do that all the time with her. And likewise, her husband, and I love them both, by the way. I like wonderful human beings and actually really good players. But she'd get so excited and be like, yeah, I teleport over there. You don't have teleportation powers. You don't know nothing. You, the player, know this is happening. Your character is oblivious. So stay in your lane. I'll get to you. And you would have to do that. And I didn't get a lot of people who really pushed back hard or anything. And, once they got, I think, into the style of playing in my rhythm of running a game, we just had epic freaking adventures. And it was wonderful and beautiful. But it's not for everyone. Look, if your thing is, you rather play than game master, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
If you only want to run games with 4 or 5 people, 3 people, 2 people, that's fine. And that was the beauty of being at the gaming center. I got to see all these different styles of play. And even Eric Wojcik, who could run a large game, he typically wanted 6 to 8 people in a game. And I've seen him run bigger, and his style of gaming was totally different than mine. He was into puzzles and traps and that kind of stuff. And in fact, he would marvel with me because, with such a big group, and they're always fighting these big adversaries. It's like the freaking X-Men or Avengers. They're not taking down the bank robber. Well, I mean, they will if they happen to run into what's going on, but so they're always fighting the big bad. And Eric was amazed because they're doing intel. We go to the bar, we go to the Thieves Guild, we do this or that. What are we going to learn about this guy? And I would tell him, oh yeah, here's the rumor about this guy, and he's famous for doing X, Y, and Z, and yeah, he's at least 8th level, and he's got the magic sword of whatever the heck. And Eric's like, yeah, Kev, I can't believe you're telling him everything. Where's the suspense? Where's the excitement? And I'm like, because they know everything. They know he's a badass. They know he commands this or that. They're actually more concerned and worried and nervous because they know all this shit. And then, of course, you set it up where, the guy is a badass and something. And it's funny because I always played it. I always kind of followed my players' leads. And, sometimes I have this big thing set up and I'm like, yeah, those will be epic. And they kick the bad guy and his minion's ass. And I'm like, well, I didn't expect that to happen, but they played like gods. They played like a great team. It's beautiful. And other times I'm thinking they're going to kick these guys' ass and they get their butts whipped.
Yep.
One of my favorite games was they come in, they should have just ran roughshod over these guys. Half the group gets taken prisoner. They're stripped of everything. I mean, they're locked in a freaking dungeon. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I didn't expect
to work
any of
in Kevin's Palladium brothel.
It made me have to do, Escape from Alcatraz kind of adventure. So they're all, and I ended it with, okay, a third of the group has gotten away. Actually, it's probably more like only 20%. The rest of you guys are locked in a dungeon, stripped of your gear. Let's end it here, and I'll see you next week. And
Welcome
they came in.
Bethesda Games.
What's that?
Welcome to Bethesda Games. Start off as a prisoner. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, Kevin, because as far as I like Eric's writing, but if there's one thing I've learned in tabletop RPGs, you start mentioning puzzles, I'm out.
Me too.
And the reason for me is because they're usually really simple answers that I overthink, and they make me even feel stupider.
Yep.
So I'm like, nope.
My first Turtles character died because of a puzzle.
You didn't play the chessboard right?
No, it's the adventure where you're going against the Hand of the Ninja, or whatever, the white ninjas, that adventure at the temple, and there's a things this failure on the wall, the room filling with gas. You're supposed to punch it, and there's a lever behind it. You can pull the gas out of the room because failure is not an option. And I died because I couldn't figure out to punch the freaking wall.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
Me either.
I'd be trying to rearrange the letters into something else, or get the ruby to hit the sun just right so that, whatever.
Yep.
Well, Eric was really into detail too, so he would make his players, like if you're going through one of his dungeons. And by the way, I think dungeons are great. I don't write a lot of them because I don't know, but I love dungeons. I mean, the Palladium Desire, that was a 3.5-year campaign, and it was entirely a dungeon, or almost entirely a dungeon. And but like if your group is going through one of Woodjick's dungeons, you actually have to have a player drawing the map as they go along. And if you come back next week and you don't have that map, and you say, I want to go to the room with the golem, Eric goes, yeah, well, where is that?
I love that because that's the old school part of me that I agree with. Where I think the old school is right to some degree. I know there are a lot of gamers now, and I'm not trying to compete old school versus new school, but I know that there are a lot of gamers now would be like, no, I'm not. My character would know how to get back. Stop it, But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that it has to be done meaningfully. It's like encumbrance. Penny pinching every little item is annoying, but encumbrance also at the same time has to be it's got to be something that's there, that can affect your character. And I think that map making is the same thing.
See, in AD&D second edition, I always told one of my of my players, like, someone take cartography or someone actually draw a damn map.
Yep.
Because if you don't want to draw a map, that's fine. If your character has the cartography skill, you
Just
made a
have you
map.
roll. Yeah.
No,
Or
I'm
have
not
you
even having
roll.
roll.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
because you can draw like we went left, we went right, whatever. You're going to get that right. You're going to be able to get yourself out or a place you've been, even with the basic cartography skills. So you don't have to actually draw a map. You can use mine, the portions that I have made visible.
Right.
I mean, you
stuff
are
like that.
wasting a skill slot on that. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a waste because no one wants to draw the damn map.
No.
No one wants to be that
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
I'm gonna be the secretary. No, you're not. No one wants that.
And also, if you take a skill in cartography, it's not just about drawing the dungeon. Your character's going to know how to read maps. So you're trying to find the dungeon.
Yes.
You'll know how to
Overland travel
better
is going to be much easier.
Bingo. Yeah, it's super underrated. And games that allow those kind of details where those are important, but don't take up a tedious amount of game time, they're just ran well. And that's what that's for.
Yeah, well, Kevin
But it's
said
like-
the other thing that I absolutely love, which is the players did research. And I find that there are two types of players. Again, everybody out there is going to comment, no, whatever. Your group's the perfect one. I get it. But is you got the one player group is like, well, you put the boss in front of us. Of course, we were just going to go fight it. You didn't research anything? I tell a story about a troll. I'm not going to get into it here, but anybody who's watched the show before knows my story about the troll. Where if they just done a little bit of research, I asked the freaking druid something. Nope, they just wanted to tangle with it and then blame me for ruining the game. Well, no, they didn't do that, but complain about the creature because it didn't meet their expectations. But then there's the other side that sometimes I think might over research, like guys, you do know at some point here he's going to take over the village, right? You might actually have to go confront him at some point here. No, we don't know what color his toenails are, just in case that's important. Like,
right.
But
yeah, I've been there too. In fact, it's funny you said that because I think I probably had more moments where I was bored because with 26 guys, if they're really into it, and I would work them up. They're trying to get all this information. It's like you said, well, how do we know? We need to know what color his toenails are because we want to make sure we're fighting the right guy. And it's like, really? But if they're having fun, I let them run with it. They want to spend 3 hours finding everything out they can about their opponents, and they're having fun doing it.
If they're all on board, then okay, that's fine.
They can spend 3 hours trying to open the door.
Yeah, there you go.
So I have one final question to kind of wrap this up. But if there's anything you think we missed, and Heathen Dog, if you've got other questions to add to this, please do.
Oh, I got lots of stuff in chat I want to bring up.
Well, no, I know you got started chat, but I'm just saying. But if there are any questions on this
again too, because we have gone a little long, but and I'm happy to answer stuff for a bit. I don't know what Jeremy's time is like, but we can cover this again,
Sure.
next time if you want. But I can answer a bunch of stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have one more, and this kind of wraps it up. So, how do you bring those groups? So you have these disparate cliques, right, doing their thing. How do you wrap them back up? We'll just say take on the big bad at the end, and how do you make sure? Already kind of commented on this a little bit, but how do you make sure that big bad at the end, so to speak, is challenging for everybody?
That's a little difficult for me to answer because Eric was convinced I created the best villains the world has ever seen. So I'm really good at villains. I think that's my comic book background. So I just kind of gauge it. The other thing too, and this is something I think game masters forget. In my initial training with the group I was with, they were really awesome because when I was struggling with stuff and as an early game master, they would say things to me like, well, remember, Kevin, you are the universe, which means you are the universe. You can change anything. So if the group is struggling maybe too much with it, I made the villain too powerful. They don't know what his hit points are. They don't know what his level is. They don't know what his skills are. I'll reduce it or I'll increase it to make sure that they're tough and bad enough. And then I'm really good, come on, I'm a writer, storyteller. I give really good descriptions. So I can create a situation where they feel suspense or immediate danger, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little tricky, and it's, you got to experiment a little bit as game masters. But yeah, that's part of it.
Now, for everyone listening, he didn't say cheat on die rolls.
Right.
No.
He didn't say that. Don't go there. He said cheat on stats. Okay? That's fine.
Brett, you were in one that I'm notorious for because we've talked about it, because people in we'll just say the rules is written crowd think that I basically cheated and I'm a horrible game master. And you know what I'm talking about, right? The horror?
Yeah. That we took in the first round.
Yeah, these guys were built up. I don't normally do modules, but I was doing, I think it's called the Blades module, and built it up. They'd been playing session after session after session. They finally got here, and they're at the end, and for the luck of the rolls,
comboed this thing. It was awesome. Every hit landed exactly as we wanted.
Initiative, everything was perfect.
All the initiative just turned out perfect. I mean, sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while, and damn it, that was our turn.
They killed it in one round.
We killed it. By the end of the first round, it shouldn't have gotten to go.
Right.
It died before its turn came up.
Right. But I was like, no. Now this is exactly how I played it out in my head. I was like, they've won. They're going to get the win. But that's such a letdown for me also, for them to get there and beat it that quickly. My rule was I'm not going to kill any character. In fact, I heard a couple times like, how many hit points do you have left? Oh, it looks like you're down to 1 hit point. Something like that. But I needed to make it a fight so they understood that what they had. Now, I was open about it. I think I told them literally after that session. It might have been the next day, but I think it was right after that session. I said, this is what I did. They all thanked me for it. Like, yeah, that would have sucked to just do all this work, get there and go, you're dead.
Yeah, we'd have been like, we were worried this whole time for that? For that piece of dog shit? Jesus.
Yeah, I doubled its hit points, and then they ended up beating it. A couple of them took some pretty severe wounds, but none of them died. I would never have let that happen because they'd already won. But I get a lot of flack for that. Like, oh my God, that's cheating. That's game master cheating. And I'm like,
I've done
No. The rule of every role-playing game is everyone's there to have fun.
Yes.
If it's not fun, don't do it. That's when you're cheating. That's when you're doing it wrong, is if you make it not fun.
Or adversarial.
Or if you're killing your characters or putting them through some kind of torment and...
No, killing your characters for no reason.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's a cardinal rule. And the thing is, it's all about character and story. And in a role-playing game where you're the game master and your players are playing the actual heroes and the characters, the important characters in the game, because all the NPCs and shit that you're playing, that's all to build up this game and make it fun and good for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if you tweak stuff, you modify stuff as the universe, it's okay because you're doing it to make the story more fun. Like, as you were telling that story, I'm thinking how I would have done it. And I would have had that villain go down and the group go, yeah! And then I would be like, and then you see him kind of twitch and he gets up.
Well, these jerks would have already been hacking off limbs and shit.
Oh yeah, no. I get what you're saying. I get make it a dramatic moment where the enemy recovers.
Well, if you can, but if they're already chopping heads and shit off.
No. Matt taught us early on the whole but before Zombieland, we were versed in double tap. All right. Yeah, we've seen enough horror movies. Yeah, you shoot the villain one time and he goes down. Yeah, he's dead. No, he's not.
To be fair, I conditioned you guys with horrors also, with everything that we did with horrors, that they killed them once, twice, 3 times the lady, just to make sure these things were done and over with, spreading body parts to different parts of the continent, whatever they could do to make sure these things were dead. So
that's funny.
Kevin, in normal circumstance, that would have been really good to add dramatic tension and theatrical flair. That'd have been really great. But for us, for that particular group who were just conditioned to burn it no matter what immediately, then yeah, but yeah, he just had to cheat on the hit points.
But I love what Kevin was saying there before I really interrupted him. But it's like the fact that they killed it. But if you want to add that tension, why doesn't it have 50% more hit points? Anybody who's played an MMO has seen that you killed the boss and then it morphs into something else and you got to kill it a second time. You're like, really? And then it morphs into a third thing. You're like, okay, you got to stop this nonsense. But those tropes are there for a reason, and there's no reason why you can't, especially if it's a demon of some sort.
Yeah.
Right.
Or just really tough. You thought, this would have killed an ordinary man, but he's not an ordinary man, and he's getting up, and now he's really pissed. And the group's
or you happen to run into this guy. Bad luck for you. Everyone says like, I have good days, I have bad days. You ran into this guy in the best day of his life. He's just having a real good day.
Well, hell, you see that in actual gameplay. Like you said, you guys, your group, you were just on.
Exactly.
Every roll was
having a
double
good
damage,
day.
and it happens.
Yeah.
Just like when I told you about the story where the group gets captured, because I'm thinking, what do I do now? I wasn't planning on a capture situation, and I'm thinking the villain should just kill these guys. But no, wait, just take them prisoner. And I'll figure the rest out before next week's game. Which was
Isn't that what's really fun about being a game master, though, is being surprised yourself?
Yes. That's the
100%.
best. Absolutely.
No, I wouldn't say the best.
Well, Mr. Railroad over here.
Woo!
All right, Heathen, you starred like 5,000 things. Go ahead and start reading. Kevin, is there anything we left on the table, though, in terms of what you think that people should know about running large groups?
I mean, I think we covered all the major points. I'm happy to talk about running games anytime you guys want to. I being a game master and tackling different, potential issues. Happy to do that. I want to say something about encumbrance.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And nobody really, even people who try to play encumbrance, I don't think really ever do, because we don't understand what some of the shit, how much this stuff weighs and what to do. So I was on vacation in Florida, and my wife and I stopped at a guy who does deep sea diving and finds old wrecks and doubloons and that kind of stuff, and brings them up. And there was this gray, and everyone always hears bars, bars of gold, bars of silver. And I think we're thinking the classic, little bar, modern day bar. It's like a
trapezoid, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this thing looked like a loaf of fucking bread. I mean, it looked like bread. It was a little bit bigger than this. I mean, it's like maybe, this much larger.
Okay.
And he said, pick it up. And I go to pick it up, and I'm like, and I could pick it up, but I mean, he's like, yeah, that little loaf, the small loaf of bread, the size of an N-gauge box.
Sure.
75 pounds.
Nice.
And how many, you just don't realize it. The modern audience, and that includes myself, I mean, you have no clue. And it just changed my whole view of how I should run my games. And when they find like a treasure chest of gold, it's like, well, how many freaking pounds is that? Because gold's heavier than silver.
Oh my God.
And how are they carrying this shit out?
That actually reminded me the James Bond movie GoldenEye. Or no, not GoldenEye. Goldfinger. The original plot was Goldfinger was going to steal the gold from Fort Knox. And then someone said, hey, do you know how much gold weighs? How's he going to steal all that gold? And then they changed it to irradiate the gold in Fort Knox. So Goldfinger's gold is more valuable because it's the only gold you can actually touch. So I thought that was,
there's also another side. A lot of times people, again, encumbrance isn't just about weight. It's about the wieldiness of something.
Yeah, size.
If that 10-foot pole that every dungeoneer likes to have, how are you carrying that thing like this? You're dropping it on the ground when you're fighting, and hopefully you don't run away from it. And like that thing in and of itself Oh, yours is collapsible. You have the one ninja pole that was that was made in the Middle Ages. But you get the idea. They don't think about stuff like this, and this is one of the reasons why I like the free league system for encumbrance, because it's not a spreadsheet, but it is meaningful. You can only carry so much, and if you have an item that is like a 10-foot pole, that might be considered a heavy or a large item, even though it's not really heavy or large. But because of its unwieldiness, and so a lot of times I think that that folks forget that something that's just cumbersome, it's kind of in the word a little bit there, is encumbering.
Yes.
Right. The
Well,
10-foot thing came about because of Gygax's adversarial relationship with his own parties, though, with puzzles.
Well, the other tricky one is fatigue.
Mhm.
And I'll admit, I'm one of those guys who I don't often play the fatigue card. I don't have people, but I mean, if they've gone through hell and they're like, yeah, I'm going to run over there and jump over it. And I'm like, you've been battling for like an hour straight. You're on the point of exhaustion. You're not running or jumping anywhere. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. But I mean, come on, watch a John Wick movie.
Well, Kevin, you know boxing, right? Wasn't you said that you'd gone to a bunch of boxing matches in the past, right?
Well, I've watched most of them on TV,
Okay.
but yeah, I've gone to.
But how long do they box?
Yes. No, you're right. And if there weren't the 3-minute rounds,
3 minutes. Sorry.
what were they?
And how did they look after round 5?
Yeah. No. Exactly.
I'll even do one that people don't usually know the answer to. Although I think Heathen Dog and I talked about this at one point. Did any of you watch hockey?
Oh yeah, of course.
How long do people spend on the ice before they do a line change on average?
Oh yeah, not very long.
It's 1 minute.
Yep.
Those skaters are on the ice for approximately 1 minute before they have a line change. I'm from Minnesota. I skated a lot. 1 minute of skating is not tiring, but that's how much energy they have to put into the checking, the positions they need to be in, like everything that goes around that. They're not just skating back for stopping, turning, whatever. 1 minute is like, get me the hell off of here and get somebody else that's rested back to do this.
Making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if all of your movements are as it's a life and death emergency, you're going to need that sandwich at the end.
Yep. Run into the fridge, grabbing the jelly, run into the cabinet, get the peanut butter. Where's my butter knife?
You're doing like suicide cuts and stuff, going to and from the fridge. That's going to be tiring.
All right, Heathen Dog, knock out. You started like 4,000 things here, so.
Yeah. So, as soon as Kevin brought up the X-rated dungeon, the answers on why you got more players became obvious because we got a lot more chat. Plot twist, contrary to popular belief, the orc prostitutes are the biggest earners. Yep. Everyone's got a thing, and no one wants to talk about it. 50 Shades of Grayscale armor. That was a good one. And the other one's, wait, can cyber knights go to brothels?
Yes.
And the answer comes in with somebody else. Dude, girls throw themselves at cyber knights. Other players get the rejects.
Oh my God.
Let me knock out that super chat real quickly.
Okay, yeah, get the super chat.
Doc Flamingo and Heathen Dog have many, many similarities, by the way. There's a couple differences, but many similarities, and they both hate their players. Doc Flamingo for $10, thank you very much, says, the secret to controlling the table for a GM is to kill a player right off the bat, as to establish who's in charge. And yes, I meant to say player, not character.
Yeah, he's confusing the old style jail advice.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like has he been in prison? Because it's like take out the biggest guys to show people how tough you are. Yeah, no.
All right, I think the rest of your Heathen Dog.
Yeah, the rest of me.
Well, like Max, I don't like to kill my players' characters, but if they play stupid, or if they want to sacrifice themselves heroically,
if they're asking to die, don't get in their way.
Exactly. I mean,
I have one difference, and maybe it isn't a full difference. I don't know. I do let dice kill characters even on side quests. And I'll use another example that I think Heathen Dog was there for when Bob's character died in that Earth Done game. And he's still grumpy about that to this day because he's like, I was hiding. Dude, they were flying. I don't care how much hiding you think you were doing.
Hiding behind something, not under something.
Right?
The enemy was in the sky.
And his characters shouldn't die from just side missions. I'm like, yes, they should. Because adventuring is not easy. It's something that kills you. Now, I don't believe in rolling, did you tie your shoes in the morning? That's happened to me. Somebody did that to me. I don't roll for you driving to work or doing something common. No, it is going to be something meaningful. But if you do, for whatever reason, roll 2 fumbles and you trip over the trap and you go face first into the oh my God, you can call them pinata sticks, the bungee sticks, thank you. Yeah. You're dead. That's just the way it's going to be. Yes, it was a side thing. Yes, you guys were over here. Yes, it was just bad luck. But you know what? That's part of adventuring.
Also, I take the advice of James Wyatt, who wrote the Dungeon Master's Guide for 3rd edition and a few other things. He says, you're challenging your players. You're trying to make the game fun. And if it's not challenging, it's not fun.
Right.
Yep.
And if you're not actually going to kill your players, one, they'll figure it out, right? If you're never going to kill them, right? Mac. And then, but it's exciting when it happens. Like if I'm running D&D and somebody drops and they're making death saving throws, like I'll have a bad guy who's nearby, like just hit the dude that's on the ground that's dying and knock another death save right off give them another failure, and the whole party just goes, oh my God. And then they all have to rush.
Maybe you guys should do something about that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Little urgency, people.
And it makes it fun because they know that threat of dying is there.
Yep.
You're not going out of your way to kill them. Don't go out of your way to be adversarial, but you are the bad guy as a GM, and it's awesome.
Kevin, I can't remember. I think it was in the Rifts one, not in the Heroes Unlimited one, but it might have been both. But you had this amazing statement, and I think I read it, and I was so happy to read it because it basically said, Game Masters don't be adversarial. We all know that. But I loved how you flipped the script back on the players as well. And basically said, players, don't be dicks at the table. And that's one of the things Heathen Dog and I have talked about a lot. We get a bit of flack for, where it's like, we're supposed to cater to the players, or you have to, no. The players, we have been around a bunch of dick players. If not in our games, we saw them at the table over there, or we saw them at the conventions we went to or whatever. And like, oh my God, I cannot believe that that is a dick player. It's one of the reasons why I'm very cautious about certain things I do in my games. It's one of the reasons why he runs his games the way he does, is because we've seen these dick players and we just weed them out right away.
Yep, I do too.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll ask a player to leave my game if they're going to be that way.
There is a contract. We talk about this, a social contract between a game master and a player. The game master, the contract is, I will be fair. The rules apply to everybody. And for the player, the contract is, I will not disrupt the game. I will not cause everyone else to have a bad time.
Right.
Yes,
yep.
Absolutely.
As long as everyone follows those rules, your game will not horribly suck.
And different tables can be different. Like he runs more railroady style than I do. I probably run more railroady style than some other people. I'm not pure sandbox, but I'm much closer to it. I provide hooks, and I expect you to bite on one of the hooks.
Yeah, I mean, you throw out 3 hooks, like nope. I just want to spend.
My character wouldn't do that. We'll make a character that will.
Yeah,
shit like that.
You're holding up the fun for everybody.
Right,
and that's something we should talk about in the future.
Yeah, right. We gotta go.
But it's tricky. I like to use NPCs to help move the game along sometimes.
I'm writing that down. I do want to talk to you about that, because I think that's something that a lot of people try to do but fail.
Or hear me out, like Bar One Studios says, advantage of a Rift's coalition campaign is your ass is always one order away from being hot dropped into an ongoing battle. Yeah, you want to move the campaign along? Coalition's the way to go, baby, because guess what? You're always going to start as a corporal or a private or some nonsense like that. Sergeant or lieutenant comes around and says, you're going to battle right now. You're like, what? But I didn't call my mom yet. Suck it, chump. Get out here. Boom. But I wasn't done polishing my armor. Suck it, chump. Get out. There it is. I love that one. That was great.
Is that all of them?
There was one here that's just Devious Dave saying storytelling possibilities for Palladium books is what inspired me as a GM. And that's what brought me to Palladium as well. All of the storytelling aspects of the world books and adventure books just paints the most beautiful picture of the world. If you're halfway creative, you don't even need a campaign.
No.
With all of the description, you can make your own campaign with this stuff and be 100% fine.
Oh, and for the love of God, folks, please stop trying to get it right and perfect. That's the number one thing when I send Kevin messages like, hey, they want to talk about this. He's kind of like, why? And what I've come to discover is that folks are like, they're scared they're getting it wrong. That's my words, not the way they say it. But you can tell from the way they're asking the question is that they're scared to get it wrong. You're not getting it wrong. Just because Heathen Dog and I do something differently, I could actually laugh at Heathen Dog, go, ha, 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 I found out from Kevin, I'm doing it right. But it isn't initiative, because we run initiative differently. But that isn't the point. The point isn't that. The point is that for his games, and it makes sense what he's doing. I don't do it that way, but it makes sense what he's doing, that he does it that way. I do it a different way that, again, a lot of people agree with. Some people are like, no, I don't do it that way either. There's some couple weird ways out there. It's okay. You don't have to get it right, perfectly right. Yeah. That's not what the intent is.
You don't need to get it right. You need to get it fun. If you and your group are having fun, you're doing it right. Even if you're doing it wrong.
You're still doing it right. Yeah. What I always say is it doesn't matter with a game like Palladium. It doesn't matter if you're doing it right. It only matters if it works.
Yep. There you go.
If it works, you're doing it right.
And that gets back to role-playing is personal.
Mm-hmm.
Every game is going to be a little different no matter who it is. It is because you're going to have your own little tricks and things you like to do. And yeah, it's okay. Don't overthink it. Have fun. And then the only other thing I want to say before we sign off is we got a couple of big sales going on. I think I mentioned it at the beginning of our chat about the Rift's Promise of Power, but we got like 80 plus Rift's books on sale right now on the Palladium website and on Drive-Thru RPG. So this is a good time to buy a bunch of Rift stuff.
Yep.
Now, Kevin, I know that normally after the streams, we talk for a little bit if possible, and I would still love to do that, but I have one more thing I have to do that if you don't want to hang out for, I get. We made more than $100 in Super Chats today, so I have to do the Hunger Games to see who wins the
$25 gift certificate.
$50 because nobody won it last week.
No one won last week.
No one won it last week. Cool. So right now, I have to put people in the editor here. Oops, that's not
for you guys who don't know. Every week, if we hit a certain amount of go ahead and start. We hit a certain amount of super chats, we give out a $25 gift certificate or voucher, whatever, for Drive-Thru RPG or what is it?
Palladium books or Drive-Thru
Palladium books or Drive-Thru RPG, and for everyone who is a member, for everyone who put any kind of money in chat, you are on the list, and then we take you through a Hunger Games type computer program where you all kill each other off until there's one winner. And if that winner is here, when he wins, he will get the money. But
rigged.
Kevin always does rig, but he does it to enter. So he gave money, which means he's now entered.
Well, he's already entered because he's a member.
He's a member, but it doesn't matter. But if you are not here in chat, the prize rolls over to next week to a maximum of $100.
Yeah, you have to be here. You have to be watching in order to win.
Yes.
Sorry, there are a couple new names on here that we normally don't have, so I do have to add a couple. Just need to verify that these other ones are on here.
I'm still angry at Kevin for putting that orc thing in my head. That
sorry about that.
My brain with bleach.
That is permanent. You're never getting that.
I'm never getting that out. And
no, it could have been worse. And I won't say it, but my favorite race in Palladium Fantasy.
Yeah, I know. But Max had a shirt on either Spreadshirt or Red.
Oh God.
That I think they made him take down. But it was something. It said something like half orc. Yeah. My dad left too.
No.
That was inspired by a former coworker of mine when I was looking to have T-shirt designs, and I don't know how he brought that up, but I was like, "That's some funny stuff," and so I did that, and I actually made a few sales on that one. None recently, though.
Think about it. If you're half human, half orc, all right, that means one of your parents was an orc and one of them was a human. Guess what? They're not together anymore. That ship has sailed for whatever reason. Likely it wasn't completely consensual, but
wow,
your parents aren't together. All right.
Let's regenerate the map so we don't have a lot of water to watch people just drown all over the place.
Yeah, that's the problem with this program. If there's a whole lot of water on the map, people will just fall in and die because apparently no electronic people can swim.
Yeah, let's do this. We're gonna be fighting on mountaintops instead.
Okay.
Because I don't want to keep clicking the button. All right, everybody. I have entered. Remember, I want to remind folks, we do this for fun. We don't do this as like some sort of serious thing. So if for whatever reason your name didn't make it here, calm down. We still appreciate your super chats. We still appreciate your Rumble rants and your memberships and so forth. But this should be. Oh, hold on. One's got to be removed.
Yep.
He had his opportunity to win and wasn't watching. So, okay.
Yeah, that's a special case.
Yeah, he's a special case. He's the guy that actually wrote the script that grabs all my members for me, so I don't have to manually do this every week. So, so he was in until he won, and then he won,
and he wasn't here.
So, all right, everybody.
All right,
good luck, and what the hell's this? Begin game. Boom. Booyah. So we have 54 fight. Ooh, our numbers are dropping. 54 fighters, and let's see who's remaining. And turn off the other updates. This might be a little slow because they're on a mountaintop. Oh. Bunch of people are dying now.
Already. And better not be a cold exposure. That would suck. It's almost as bad as drowning.
Troffel tries to steal from a Promethean. Kevin Sullivan finds what's left. Eventually. Malachi traps a Bear the Gen X GM in an elevator with a bard playing Wonderfall.
Oh, God, they kill himself.
Sheriff Starlack forces Cocaine Bear to make sweet, sweet love to Nutty Squirrel. What?
And Nutty Squirrel did not make it. Yep.
Are we in Kevin's brothel right now?
I guess so, yeah.
Chicken Bleeding Cube mispronounces a spell against Doc Flamingo so horribly it rebounds and kills, him. Crafting Gamer removes Malachi via exorcism. Malachi was a demon?
Oh, or a ghost. Could be a ghost.
Yeah, that's fair. France 42,000 kills Sly Blue Demon with a lightsaber to the midichlorians. Okay. The old geek kills Kevin Sullivan with a mean tweet. Yep, it was rigged.
Mean tweet. That's a good one.
John of the Ozark recites the weapons versus armor type chart. Until Sheriff Snorlack bleeds from the ears and dies.
Oh, sorry, Sheriff.
Yeah. Sheriff has won a few times too. None recently, but he's won a few times too. But he doesn't watch either, so you don't screw him. Real life friend of ours, folks. Real life friend of ours. Agile Monk hacks Yield Geek's brain and installs a fatal error.
Nice.
Okay. That tells me that
I do that on Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
That's a legit.
John of the Ozark accuses Agile Monk of magic use. Moments later, a Samus reduces Agile Monk to ash.
Legit.
Who put all the Palladium ones in here? I mean, the timing is great. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, the heroes came to save the day.
Oh my goodness.
Squirrel Hermit accuses Joyce Demo of magic. Oh, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, that Samus guy gets around. All right, let me tell you.
He does.
He's cleaning up. He gets a medal.
Manowar, name of the neighbor of the beast, kills Squirrel Hermit with sensitivity reader's red pen. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, the sensitivity reader got you.
Let's see how many. Looks like we're down to 4, 5, 6. So it looks like we're down to 6 now. Walter MC summons tentacles which grab and drag I was raised as a poor child to a demon hentai world.
Oh God, a demon hentai world. I'm sorry, dude.
Or Wormwood.
That's worse than a Palladium brothel.
Or Wormwood.
How we looking here? I can't zoom in. Yeah. Patrick accuses Franz of magic. Oh, same thing. That dude. How many people? We have Salem witch trials going on here.
That's great. He's got the little check marks on the side of his Samus, man. He's
right. He's going around popping heads.
Exactly. He's just staying high, shooting low. You know, that's how it works.
Yeah, this isn't going to work with mountains.
Yeah, with mountains you can't zoom in. that well.
Okay, this purple guy's all by himself. He's gonna live through attrition. Oh nope, here we go. Got a couple others popping in here. Can you not circle? Can you just stay?
No, it has to turn.
No. Oh, John the Ozark electrifies Patrick. Oh, never mind.
Oh,
Walter.
wow.
Walter's
Walter
watching too.
MC.
Well, look at that.
Walter
Walter's
MC.
chatted a few times.
Congrats,
All right, Walter. I know you on Discord. Just shoot me a message on Discord and tell me two things. I need your email address. Don't type it wrong because I literally copy and paste what you do. And if you type it wrong, it will go to the wrong person. And tell me if you want it from Palladium Books. I'm sure that's what you want. But Palladium Books or Drive-Thru RPG. And you will get a $50 gift certificate. In the meantime, let me save this real quickly and then let Kevin and Jeremy finally leave. So we've got them duct taped to the chair here. Control to save it. What's the date
real
today?
winner here is the coalition. I just want to let you know.
Dude, there are over 100. We only had 57 entries, and that coalition guy got what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, you got 4 or 5 kills on that one. He's
Easy, yeah.
He's an MVP.
22 June. Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out with us for that and for our conversation today. Had a great time. I think Jeremy, I would say, acquitted himself well, but no, he attacked me very, very horribly. No, he came in here. It's great that we didn't have to try to find a comfort zone. And I mean that. I don't like it when we kind of have to talk around people and dance just to make sure somebody's comfortable. He came on in here. Apparently, Sean gave him the Cliff's Notes of what we do here. and
Not at all. I came in as I am, so you get what you get.
Sean didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah,
that's awesome. No, I really do appreciate that, Jeremy. Honestly, hope to have you back again sometime as well. I really do mean that.
Love it.
Maybe we can't have Sean. Because Sean, we'd still be in segment 1 right now. So we'll have to alternate you guys somehow. But I'd love to have a round robin. Bring Wayne and Alex in too. I don't care. Just have a whole Palladium team pop on in here, folks out there. Thank you for everything. Thank you for supporting Legion Myth. Thank you for supporting the project. I might not have it there right now, but I promise you, when this goes to video, we will have the links in the description. So please back this project. We want to see it come to fruition. I want to hear what everybody's raving about when it comes to this whole Engage, Rift's Promise of Power, Reforged. It's the Reforged edition. Because I've heard nothing but good things. And I'm not saying that because Kevin and Sean are here. I've been talking behind the scenes about this. Everybody knows I'm not lying when I say this. I've only heard good things about the game. I can't even get people to complain about it. It is what it is. So with that, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Jeremy. I suppose I'll thank Heathen Dog too. Filled up a spot.
I got thanks.
And I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful week.